Hello, BookTube. Well, it's July, which means we're over halfway done with the year, and in my notebooks and in my online programs, that means I'm starting to really think about my gigantic year-end wrap-up on my intergalactically famous book blog, Steve Reads. Uh, and I've been thinking about the BookTube equivalent of that and trying to figure out what it would be. And I haven't had a whole lot of success, only because the Steve Reads year-end roundup is staggering. it's top 10 picks out of something like 10 categories spread out over half a month. It's a lot. It's impossible to do on BookTube. But I thought I would give highlights today. I was looking over my shelves because I'm starting to really finalize my lists. I'm reading well to the end of the year now, so I can do all but 3 spots on every list without really fearing that I'll need more than that. It's a huge amount of work, so the more of it I can get done ahead of time, the better. But I thought I would give you half a dozen highlights from 2016 so far. One for each category that I'm eventually going to end up doing. Although 2 of the categories that I'm going to mention today are provisional. I'm not sure that I'll even use them. I've never done them before, so I'll be thinking about it. I'm still mulling. I have every year, and I've done this for years. I have major categories: nonfiction, fiction, history, biography, nature, that sort of thing. But the other categories, the ones below those, the smaller ones, change from year to year, and I never quite know what they're going to be until November. But I want to show you these half a dozen because I'm as sure as I can possibly be that they will all be on the final list in their category. So the first one is one of those provisional categories. Not sure that I'll do it, but it's YA. A lot of people read it, and I read a lot of it, and I have perhaps in the past been a little too dismissive of it, especially since all the joy that it's brought me. It isn't to blame for any excessive fetishization that BookTube does of it, right? The genre is not to blame for that. The genre is not to blame for fully grown, shaving, voting, burping, bourbon binging adults who read nothing at all except books written for teenagers. The genre is not to blame for that. And one of the strongest examples of YA that I've read this year so far is this. It's We Are the Ants. An end-of-the-world novel with a twist. A strange and heartfelt book that I will reread it again, closer to the end of the year, but I was tremendously impressed. So if I do a YA category, it will be my first, and if I do one, this will be mine. Next one is fiction. Mainstay of the Steve Reads end of the year roundup, and this book will almost certainly be on that list. I think I've shown it on this channel before. Heat and Light by Jennifer Haigh. This is a fracking novel, an industry novel, a resource extraction novel with all sorts of hucksters and visionaries descending on poor small towns, and it has an enormous cast of characters, all of which are delineated with such effortless ease. It's just a tremendously impressive thing. I'm going to read a lot of fiction between now and the end of the year, so it could easily happen that this gets supplanted, but I would find it hard to believe. Next one is another provisional category, one that I've never done, but I'm strongly thinking about it, and that's poetry. And if I do, this Mortal Trash by Kim Addonizio will almost certainly be on the list. This, I thought, was tremendously impressive, just thoughtful, but also subversive in ways that I really liked. I wasn't sure what to make of them at first, but I really liked them. I have a tough time in most kinds of writing, and especially in contemporary poetry, simply letting go and letting the author do what they want. I like to hold them accountable more than that, and in some genres that's more advisable than others, so I let go with this book and was tremendously happy with the result. Don't know if any of that made sense, but I will return to it. Next one is biography, my very favorite genre, and the one example that I am fairly certain will be on that finished list is Elizabeth, The Forgotten Years by John Guy. Is a rather ridiculous subtitle. There are no years of Elizabeth's life that are forgotten, but he's the sort of the living dean of Tudor studies, and boy, was this a good book. Now, despite how good this book was, how much I loved it, I raved about it in my review, there is a strong chance that this will be supplanted because the fall and winter are when publishers tend to roll out their big biographies. And I already know a bunch of them are coming out. And that's strong competition, you never know. But Elizabeth has faced strong competition before, so we'll see. Another one, the next one is another category very much like that. It's history. So far this year, only a fraction of the serious works of history that are coming down the pike have actually appeared. One of them that has impressed me the most is this one, An Iron Wind by Peter Fritzsche. This is his history of all of Europe under Hitler. Not just the stereotypical thumbnail of countries falling and nationalities being imprisoned, but the life, the daily political and social life in Europe under Hitler. This was, I thought, tremendously good, but it has an enormous amount of competition coming. An enormous amount. So I highly recommend it, but I'm not sure where it will be on that Steve Reads list. Next one is Nature. I, of course, read a ton of it. And I don't think I've mentioned this book on this channel before, but it's stuck with me. It will almost certainly be on that list. It's Run, Spot, Run. This is by Jessica Pierce, and it's a genuinely unsettling account. Her analysis of domesticated dogs, where they are and what their domesticators, what their keepers do to them, even the most affectionate keepers. A lot of her contentions in this book will snag at the complacency of any dog owner in the world who doesn't run them as working animals in a field in Montana somewhere. If you keep a dog in an apartment or a house, and you buy them little sweaters, or you teach them tricks, or you take them for walks 4 times a day, or you watch them sleep 22 hours a day, this is a very thought-provoking book on what that is, on what that relationship is, and maybe how unhealthy it is. I find it hard to believe, I mean, I read a lot of Nature, and a lot of Nature's coming, but I find it hard to believe this will be bumped off the final list, but we'll see. And I will list all of these books down below so you can look them up yourself. And the last one that we'll do for today is general nonfiction, as opposed to history or biography. And in this case, it's a book that's been out in the UK already, but I waited for the US publication. And it's this, Four-Dimensional Human. This is by Laurence Scott. And it's a study of humanity and consciousness and personhood in the age of the internet. It's one of the best studies of the age of the internet that I have read yet. I thought it was stunning, just stunning in its insights, the way it pulls things together from all disparate areas of the electronic frontier, the place where we all live now, the place that makes BookTube possible, the place that makes almost everything in our lives possible. It's just an amazing analysis. So there you have it. Those are half a dozen titles that I thought were truly outstanding so far in 2016. The Steve Reads Lollapalooza at the end of the year really eclipses a mere 6 titles. I don't know how to exactly reproduce that here on BookTube, but this is at least a yardstick of just a little kind of what I've read so far that I found truly amazing. And maybe I'll do another one of these the closer we get to the end of the year. But I wanted to give you these just because I've read so much so far this year, and I didn't want it to go uncommemorated before we barrel on into July. So there you have it. Let me know if any of these look interesting to you. And thank you, BookTube, as always.